Look at the spotlight right there. People don't think how important it is. So recruiters can find you if you have that open to work, whether you wanted to show it to a recruiter or whether you want to show it to the entire world. They can find you through LinkedIn. And if you end up on their spotlight, you know what? They can go into your file, they can go into your profile and just reach out to you. And I know there has been debate on, should you let everybody know that you are going to look for another job? There's a green frame on the LinkedIn. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. You have an option to go and put it up there for everybody, or hide it and just go and communicate with the recruiters. I'll leave that up to you, because there are some biases in hiring, right? You do whatever works for you. If you're not comfortable, that's fine. But with the data that LinkedIn recently had, what they said was those people with the green frame, there's a data stat, they were approached more than the other people, because obviously it's easy for a recruiter to spot on, and they have that open to work, plus they have that picture with the green frame as well. I'm going to see if there's anything in chat. All right, perfect. So I'll leave it up to you. There are some biases, but you do what works for you. And how do you turn that on? I have a YouTube video channel teaching you. Go ahead and put it in there. Go ahead and understand how do you go about putting that green frame on LinkedIn. And that's one of the most watched video on our YouTube channel. I was quite surprised. And the settings being currently changed now. And there's an update on that video. Go and look at the comment sections and you will see how do you go about turning that on for everybody, or turning it off and just showing to the recruiter. Now, the second thing, who are most likely to respond? These are something that recruiters actually see it when they're trying to recruit it from the recruiting tool. And you know why that happens? Look at this. Email messages per month, they have a limitation. All right, how many messages they can send based on the tools that they've been using in LinkedIn. There's a Recruiter Lite, there's this services, Recruiter Professional, and there's this as well. So obviously you don't know what kind of recruiter tools they are using it. Imagine they only have 30 emails for them to send it out, right? Most likely, if you're not really a great candidate, you're not standing out, and your LinkedIn profile is not optimized, they are probably not going to send it out to you. Plus, what happens is, how do you end up on that list is, you might not know, is if you just have a LinkedIn, just optimized, let's say fully, but you're not active, you don't log in, you don't actually share content, you don't actually like or comment on anybody else, you're not really active, then your file's not going to be pushed. The algorithm's not going to be right there, and recruiters not going to be finding you. And they're thinking, if you're not active, they're going to go into the activity and they'll see, well, you know what, that person is not active. Most likely I'm not going to get those messages right away. So I'm going to skip that and go to someone I like. And LinkedIn optimization is great as well. And I see how they're branded properly. And this is exactly the guy I want, because he can do it, because it says on the profile, everything is so good. I'm going to reach out. Plus he's active. Obviously he's going to reach out, recruiters going to reach out to the person who are most likely to respond, because they have the limitation in time, plus the email credits as well. So I really want you to be very cautious about just having a LinkedIn and not being active and participating on it. So you're losing out on those emails as well, right? Don't be a lurker. In the plain terms, there's a LinkedIn, optimization is done, you know what you're doing, but you got to be active as well to stand out in front of the crowd as well. So engagement talent brand is something that a lot of people miss the boat on it. Let's say you have, obviously you should have a targeted company, more than 50 or something, that you have targeted company that you want to work with. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they just go and see the job posting on a website, whatever it is, and they just go and submit the applications. Now, you might not know that LinkedIn, on a page, on their page, if you're active, if you're actually commenting on their post, sharing it, if you reach out to the recruiters in the past, if you've applied for the same type of role, whatever it is, you know what? You actually pop out on the spotlight as well, because now the algorithm, LinkedIn algorithm, thinks that, oh, this person was actually part of connection, part of that comment on this company page. And then, you know what, you would potentially end up in a spotlight right there. And recruiters like, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to go through those people who've already engaged with the company's page, who's already supporting our cause, whatever it is, right? So make sure you follow the company, because the recruiters can see who do you follow as well. So meaning if you're a company follower as well, they can see it. It actually gives the blurb right underneath your profile as well. When, you know, I'm looking at it, I can see if you follow my company or not as well. So if you're already following it, you're ending up in a spotlight as well. So there are so many things people tend to miss it. It's not only about applying online, but how do you get on these one to make sure that you stand out and recruiters are going to be reaching out to you first. Have a company connections. And I tell my clients as well, listen, it's one thing to go and apply for a job, but always have a couple of connections within that company prior to posting, because this shows up in recruiters as well. So people are most likely going to hire through referral. If you see someone on, you know, within the same company, and if you feel like there's a company connections and mutual friends, first degree connections, you're most likely, it's a human nature, you're most likely going to go and pick that people and say, well, that person knows someone, so at least, you know what, I'm going to go and talk to that person. It's easier for them. See, recruiters have target as well, depending on, like, you know, they have SLA, the time limit that they have to go and give those to the hiring managers. And you're not the only one who's going to get the message. There's a bulk recruiting going on. They can send bulk email to everybody, and whoever gets them fast. And if you're not active, if you're delaying it, hey, it's gone. Because my clients are getting emails sometimes, and, you know, some people who want to switch it, by the time they come down, like, you know, after work, and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to reply, recruiters like, oh, I'm sorry, it's already been done, right? They move really fast. And that's why you really got to be on top of the game if you really wanted to switch or you want to get that job. All right. And as I said, company connection is really major. Make sure you have company connections within that company if you want to work for them later on, because you will end up on the spotlights. And a past applicant, obviously, they can see it as well if you've applied to the role. And here's the tricky part, right? I always tell people, be clear on what you want, because you don't want to be applying at as a business analyst one day, and the next day you're applying for something else completely different, right? Because they can see it. And then when they see it, how many applications you've done, who have you talked to, and stuff like that, they would be weeding you out. You'd be flagged because you don't know what you want, and you want to do every kind of job out there. But that's where the branding needs to be so clear that you're only applying for the right role at the right time, not spraying and praying, saying that I can do all the jobs. In Canada especially, they're looking at the export, not everyone who can do it all, right? That's not how it's going to work. And that's where I think a lot of newcomers miss the chance of shining out. And I work with a lot of newcomers. That's my niche market. I work with a lot of newcomers, those who are landing in Canada, or those who've landed in Canada who are having hard time to bounce back. I also work with the laid off worker as well, who are dealing with the ageism. And I also work with the people who want to switch, where they want to go where they are celebrated. Now, the one thing in common with all three kind of, stakeholders I work with is they're not clear on their branding. Their marketing plan is not clear. And when it's not clear, the LinkedIn profile is not going to be clear for everybody. Imagine you want to apply for a business analyst, data analyst. Those are two different things, right? But there are some transferable skills, but how you communicate matters as well. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, this is what's given to you when, let's say I'm posting for a job. It actually says candidates who appear in Spotlight right there, they're going to respond to my email, right? And twice, like 3 times. So why would I email somebody who's not active? Why would I email someone, because let's say if I have a credit like this, why would I waste my email credit for people who are not ending up in here? So your goals should be ending up right here. And I've already given you the golden nuggets. Start from today, start following the company, start engaging with them. But that does not guarantee anything if your LinkedIn profile is not branded properly, all right? So now if I'm looking for, job title, let's say I'm posting for SEO analyst from Teach and Do, I have so many options to post it a different way. Job titles here, I can post it, and then I can post the location as well. I can say GTA, I can say Toronto, Canada, I can say remote, right? I can click on this one as well. So when you want someone, let's say if you want to be SEO, which is search engine optimizations analyst or associate, whatever it is, if you want to be part of that, when you're putting your profile together, you got to think about where you want to work. I mean, I don't think anyone searches with, okay, I want anyone in Canada. Normally the location is, I would really want you to put, let's say if you're in Mississauga, I would recommend you to put GTA, Greater Toronto Area, because you know what, no one searches Mississauga, right? So start being smart about it when you're optimizing the profile and putting the location. So that way you end up on the bigger bucket than just someone looking for Mississauga, and you might be missing out on the GTA opportunities, right? So point of the matter is location matters. And if you're not, I can also filter it. I'm going to show you the screenshot later on. I can filter and auto reject you based on location as well. Okay. So that's really important. Location is really important to end up in a search. So what happens here is, as per LinkedIn, once the job post goes live, let's say I'm posting for it, then LinkedIn suggests up to 50 professionals who match the search, right? Obviously, it depends on location. It depends on so many things, which I'm not able to cover it all in today's 1 hour. It's a beast. And I cover all those in my LinkedIn profile courses, where people are going to understand behind the scene of LinkedIn to how the job gets posted, how do they optimize the profile and everything. But the 50 professional automatically are picked based on the match that I'm putting it out there. I wouldn't even know what shows up. But then if your LinkedIn profile is optimized, you might show up on my list as a candidate, and spotlights would be one of the advantage. If I find you, then I'd be first to reach out to you. Now, I don't recruit, right? But I do job posting. If I'm doing the hiring or something like that, I do that to find the right candidate. And, I'm giving you all the lesson based on my personal experience as well. And everybody uses the tool differently. That's the beauty of LinkedIn. And that's why you got to understand everything about LinkedIn before you start optimizing it. And you would definitely want to talk to people who have used the tools, not someone who's never used the tool and giving you the, tips from searching Google. Don't get me wrong. I love Google, but if no one has used the tool, then it's really hard for you to get the understanding. How do you end up in a search? All right. So now here, this is a new thing that LinkedIn had put it in there. Take a skill quiz. And did you know that let's say if I'm hiring for SEO or technical people in IT, whatever it is, then you know what, I would probably search you based on the skill quiz that you passed. And it's really important for you to, especially for tech people or anyone on a data field, right? Make sure you take those courses. That's actually free for some people in LinkedIn, or when you're paying for it, make sure you take a quiz. That way, when recruiters are searching for you, what happens is they can find the people who pass the skills as well, and you're on their bucket as well, right? Because tech field is really unique, and obviously they're not going to hire someone who have no idea about how to do the website or how do you do the Excel business dashboard, nothing, anything like that. So make sure you do that if that belongs, that is part of your strength and expertise. All right. And you can also add the skills. This is the main part of LinkedIn. This is where a lot of people go wrong. I don't know if you understand how the skill works. LinkedIn allows you to go up to 50 skills as a person who wants to go and, put it in there. But I see a lot of people where they go wrong is they just go and put any skills they want, but that's not how you want to do it. There's a strategy behind it. You need to know the hard skills, soft skills, and everything that's relevant to your job. And I'll tell you this is, one size does not fit all. When I'm customizing, working together with the client, if they're applying for one job description, maybe they're the skills are matched, but for other job description, those same skills are outdated or, it's not relevant at all. So that's why you're going to be very, very cautious about putting a right skill, which could potentially apply to your area. And that's how you end up in a recruiter search, because when I'm posting for a job, it would allow me to add only 10 skills, and that 10 skills would be shown to the candidate who are matching my system, and you're going to be ending up on my system. So think about this. You have 50 skills, all right, 50 skills on your LinkedIn, but as a job poster, I can only put 10 skills. Now, the ball is in your court to show them, hey, those are the 10 top skills you need me, but you don't have any clue what kind of skills I'm looking for. And I pull all of that with a customization when I'm working one-to-one with client. So skills in assessment, like over here, when I was telling you this, I can click on this and only include the candidates who have passed at least one skill assessment as well. I can literally, use this to get the right candidate, especially on tech field or something that I really want to make sure that they understand. So I don't have to do the testing after interviews. So LinkedIn actually gives me that. So now here's power of right keyword. And there are like two terms, right? There's a skill, there's the power of right keyword. These are all algorithm based on LinkedIn. So what matters is keyword, and not a lot of recruiters would use the Boolean, but some recruiters who are quite experienced and they know what they're doing, they're going to do make the work easier for them. So they're going to use all the search to find the people like you. So you gotta understand your role, your expertise, and what kind of role that you're targeting. You need to be extremely clear, including the industry, language, jargon. Everyone talks differently. For the same role, I might use the one title, SEO analyst, but the same kind of role, some other employers are using a different title as well. You got to understand and research your roles ins and out, and then try to play around with the keyword. And I teach all of that in my classes. So for the example here is, I can find anyone I like using the right filters on it. So here, function. I can even go out and find out as a recruiter, okay, I want to hire a recent grad from this. I want to hire someone from bachelor degree. I don't want no master's one, right? I want to hire someone who can speak the language. It's like keyword right here is a whole different beast when it comes to LinkedIn. It's not only the skills, and that's where people go wrong. They go and put the keyword as a skills, and there's so many things, and you got to understand once again is these tips are not going to work for you if you're not clear on what you want, if you're not clear on what you want to do. It's only going to work for you if you understand what are your expertise. Hope that makes sense. So now over here, enter the skills. See, so many skills. So if I'm hiring for search engine optimizations, I can put Canada, I can put other location as well. And then, enter skills. It gives me some of the options. I might, as an employer, I might not need someone with a Google Analytics, let's say, right? I might not need someone with a digital marketing, right? It all depends on what I want to do. So that's why people think about, okay, one size fits all. If I add this, everyone's going to hire me. But you really have to understand the role and organization perspective. What do they need? And job description. So that's why it's tricky when it comes to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is not your resume, and you got to understand your hard skills, tech skills, transferable skills, everything together. That's why in one job, maybe the digital marketing is extremely important criteria, maybe must have, and the other SEO, they might not need it. They might have other people working for them as a digital marketing. Imagine you have digital marketing as a top skills. You might not be ending up on a search, right? So you got to be careful on what you put on LinkedIn to make sure you go get that emails every day. And I don't know if you know, but what happens is if I really let's say I pick one of you and I really liked your profile as SEO and I really want to hire people like you, but you know what, you're not available, I can put your name in there, and LinkedIn actually gives me the exact kind of similar profile, which has a similar skills and everything. And I can move on to the other one as well. So it's basically your competitors. So I teach all of that. How do you stalk your competitors as a candidate and go and bring that in your profile as well as a part of my program? So I really want you to watch out someone you really like. let's say in that company, and see where you are aligned and start working on your profile as well. It might work for you, but there's a trick to it. So follow the targeted company. Obviously, this is where you follow, but then what happens is you will end up in recruiter search. If they're looking for people, they will say company follower. Then LinkedIn actually gives you at the bottom company follower, and you would be ending up in spotlights if your LinkedIn is branded properly. So these are the keyword. Let's say, I ran some testing for myself. I'm not looking for a job, but I wanted to see how my keywording are aligned or not. I don't want to be found. If you actually go and see on a search appearance on the main page, what happens is, you would click on it, and you should not be finding any keywords that you're not ready to work for, right? You should be seeing people are, if your LinkedIn profile is optimized and it's good, it's done properly and it's branded properly, then you should be seeing something relatable with your goals or long-term goals or vision or whatever you're targeting. So mine ends up it goes back and forth. I keep on changing depending on it. But then again, these are the ones that I'm quite happy with it. And if I see anything that I don't like it, then I'm going to go and take out that word. So now one of the example I always bring in it was an eye opener for me a couple of years ago. My headline was, I said, I build confidence for job seekers. And next week I ended up in a search, and over here, I found the keywords your searcher used was, builder. Director of construction. See how the headlines are screwed? So you got to I don't want to be found as a someone who works in construction. It has nothing to do with what I do. So you got to be very visible around and try to tweak it accordingly. And, so that way you end up in the right search. So I do talent pool report for my clients. I look at the data and I find out who are the top employers hiring for those people, what are the skills they're looking for. I do all of that on the different tool. I wanted to share with you is, again, it all depends on, I can search profiles accordingly. If I want to find the SEO people that I like, then I can search a profile. I can check everything about the person. I also would have data, and I can see who are hiring. I can also see what are the skills that majority of the employers are looking for, all those. And LinkedIn is a gold mine when it comes to data. And I work through when I'm working with the client, because every profile is different. So now these are the email recruiters that my client would get, when they end up in the right one. So this is quite surprising for me. That actually happened last month. And why am I bringing this screenshot here is, the guy was, I think, he met me at one of the webinar I ran in college, one of the college, and he saw me running the LinkedIn profile, the branding workshop. And then he reached out to me and he wanted to go back to, one of the branded company. His profile was really dead on LinkedIn. He only had at that time 10 connections or something on LinkedIn. And then today, let's say I sat down and customized the strategy and I told him to go and do this, and he worked through the branding. It was beautifully done. He executed very well, and he only had 12 connections. And I saw he ended up being all-star. That was new to me, because if you want to be ending up on all-star on LinkedIn, my understanding was you've got to have 50 connections. So it looks like something changed recently. That was good news, because I was struggling. Okay, how are you going to get the 50 connections so that way you end up in all-star, right? But that's a good news for people who are inactive. And then you wanted to go and do the branding. Now, what happened with this guy is within 24 hours, he sends me this saying that, listen, I got email from recruiter. I'm talking, I have an interview, and he got those, right? So it's wow, when the branding is done, when my clients are executing it so well, you get the emails from recruiter because you're, ending up in a search. And a lot of people, what they think is, what, I have to have so many connections, get this. Recruiters do not care about how many connections you have, right? They do care about the connection within the company, but they don't care about anything but can you do the job? So you got to brand it properly. And my clients are getting the emails from IBM, all those remote opportunity, even to end up in remote search, you got to optimize it properly. For those of you It's a remote market right now. My clients are getting hired left and right for remote work, even international people reaching out, right? So why they're getting this is their LinkedIn is optimized properly if they're looking for a remote job only. Now, before I forget, what you can do is there's a free resources online, which we just posted it yesterday, I believe, just for you. So you can go and see how you can find the remote work in LinkedIn under free resources. There are 3 things. One for newcomers, which is like if you're landing in Canada, there are a lot of job boards and stuff like that. You can go and see it, including the remote posting, who does it. And then, you know, we also have the other one, which is you can go and download the file where it shows you how do you go about looking at the remote job in Canada. And how do you do the Boolean search? More in detail, there's a couple of pages. Go to free resources, teachanddo.com. Under free resources, there are 3 resources, and go and see what works for you. That gives you the highlight of how do you find out the role opportunities where they're posting for remote or the job, like doing it right when it comes to Boolean search. Go ahead and download it. It's only for limited time. We're going to take it out, but I would wait until the Access Employment sends out this video to everybody. I'd wait probably 1 week or so, and we'll be taking it out because we're revamping it. We'll probably put more on it. All right. So now here's, let's say, me posting for a job description. This is the back end of LinkedIn. And I'm posting it for, you know, the role. Then I can automatically reject it based on, this is what I was talking about, is I can automatically reject people based on their location, because that's how I am putting it through. Knockout questions are the one, and LinkedIn has that too. And then, you know, whenever you're applying for resume as well, there are knockout questions. You can be rejected if you don't qualify. And the catch is, system is so good at finding out, even if you say you're legally authorized to work in Canada, yes, it would pick up the location. I'll tell you that. And then automatically knocks you out, saying that, okay, well, you know what, you're not the right fit. So here, not a fit, right? People applying from outside, the person said, are you legally authorized to work in Canada? The person said yes, but the location was something different. So system automatically flags it. So these are the technique that, you know, you need to learn. How do you go about navigating that? So maybe the person was in Canada. Maybe they didn't update the, the address. You never know, right? You don't want to lie, but you want to make sure that, you know, you apply for the right, right role again. And look, even you're in USA, obviously it's not a fit, right? It's automatically rejected. Not a fit, rejected. That's it. Automatically goes in there. So now, other than that, I think I'm done with the presentation. Let me know if you have any questions, and we do all kinds of services. If you want to talk to me, see if we're the right fit, feel free to set up an appointment. Also, anyone who wants to go and look into the career channel, I do offer a lot of free tips and videos on YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe.